Mr. Sam, welcome to Kiel. Thank you
Well,
for
good
joining
morning.
us. Okay, a Sam Jenkins authored, well, co-authored at least, bill has passed unanimously in the House of Representatives, and rather than me tell folks about it, you go ahead. What's it going to do? What's the plan?
Well, we're going to use some CARES Act money. I'm sure everybody knows that's money that has been sent to the state by the federal government. That CARES Act money is going to be going in three directions. We set aside money for the small businesses. We've also set aside money for local governments for some of the monies they had to spend responding to the virus. This bill that we initiated will actually give money to some of the employees, workers, critical workers, that is, people who had to expose themselves and take a risk because they had to go to work. People in the areas of healthcare and nursing homes, as well as retail, grocery store workers, convenience store workers, those who worked in public works, those critical services that had to continue during the stay-at-home order. So that's the object of it. We're going to be sending $250 checks if this bill passes the Senate and becomes law to those critical workers. Now, we've been an application process for it that's going to be handled by the Department of Revenue, but we are very, very happy that it had bipartisan support. I think all of us want to do something for the critical workers that helped us through this crisis thus far, and I'm just extremely pleased that my colleagues in the House saw fit to send this bill over to the Senate.
Total price tag is $50 million?
Right. Well, we capped it at $50 million. We think that will capture, Aaron, about 200,000 workers. But on the back end, if there is some excess funds coming from the CARES Act money, then there'll be more money available to help some other workers.
Now, there was a little bit of a skirmish over who would qualify based on their salaries. Explain that and what change was made.
We initially looked at a $70,000 salary cap. In other words, the worker had to earn $70,000 or less. We end up reducing that to $50,000. The reason for that is when we initially did the bill, we were basically looking at health care, which can have some healthy salaries. But when we began to expand it to other categories of workers, some of which I just talked about a few minutes ago, that brought in more people. So we had to lower the salary cap to capture all of the people that were in the other categories. So we've got still a bill that will help nurses and others who are working in healthcare. But we also have a bill now that will help those persons who, let's say, work for Meals on Wheels, that had to go and deliver meals to some of our seniors who couldn't get out, child workers who had to keep children, of those who had to work. It made the bill better, I'll put it that way.
Sam, I'm going to ask you this. You've been a city government official before. City governments are hurting, and they're seeing that they saw some of the money be funneled off to businesses, and now another chunk of it being funneled off for this. And I'm sure there are people at city halls and parish governments who would say, boy, I thought that money was supposed to go to us, and now you're taking another chunk of it away. How do you respond to that?
I would say, given the estimates that we have seen, Aaron, there would be enough money to handle our locals. The last thing I would do is try to initiate anything that could hurt our local governments. As you said, I served in local government, and I know how critical having cash would be. The conventional wisdom is they can only be repaid for responding to the virus. In other words, this money can't be used like lost revenue, lost sales tax, or anything like that. The numbers that are coming in, being reported from most of the local governmental bodies, has not exceeded, the last time I heard, it's not exceeded $200 million, and it's about $550 million that have been set aside for local governments. Mm-hmm. The thought now by the budget estimators is that that entire $550 million would probably not be used. Now, here's what we had to do. Mm-hmm. We want to be certain that all of the CARES Act money is used here in Louisiana, because if you don't do it by the end of the year, we may have to send that money back to the federal government. So having several different programs trying to consume that money is not a bad idea.
Mr. Sam, about a week or so ago, you got in the House of Representatives passed a $34 billion budget. Let's start here. Did I hear you chuckle or cough? Is that the largest?
Well, let me say this is a serious matter, but the bottom line on it is, I don't know if that will be the final number. It's proposed. The budget right now is over in the Senate. I think the budget increases that was being suggested was going to go into the areas of early childhood education. We wanted to increase the TOPS program, K through 12 education, colleges, those things that all of us would like to see done. Pay increases in there for judges and district attorneys.
Pardon me, Mr. Sam, that's a lot of increases. Where's this money coming from? And is it just one-time money? What are we going to do next year?
Right. And you're correct. Now, I believe what the budget is really still being negotiated. I believe the Senate has it now. I believe they're going to look at that. I think one of the issues, or the main issue here, is a revenue forecast that everybody can agree upon that has not occurred yet. If a revenue estimating committee come back and say, hey, look, you just don't have the amount of money that you're trying to spend in this budget, adjustments are going to be made based upon that revenue estimating committee forecast. So that's why I said we don't really have a final number. I know some things have been proposed. I'll say this too now. There are a lot of bills that have also come out to cut taxes and to give tax breaks and to help businesses and things of that nature. So there's a lot of revenue whenever you do those tax breaks and things like that, and I'm not criticizing those things. I'm just saying you're taking revenue away. So all of this is going to have to be balanced out over on the Senate side. So it'll be interesting to see, what comes back out of that process.
Sam, one more thing on the stimulus checks. Will that be administered through the Workforce Commission? And how soon do you hope to have that mechanism up and going once this is passed by the Senate?
It initially will be administered by the Department of Revenue. They will have to verify the income. Workforce Commission will have to verify whether the person actually worked, because we're really trying to get not those persons now that work remotely. We wanted those people who actually had to go out to work and expose themselves. Mm-hmm. The application process will begin July 15th, around July the 25th. My hope and my prayer is we'll be able to start mailing out checks to these critical workers.